Imagine being arrested for collecting rainwater. Sounds like a joke to you, but this was the reality in Bolivia. In Bolivia's third largest city, Cochabamba, it became necessary to buy a license to access water resources, and a licensing system for collecting rainwater was also introduced. Even using river water became illegal. But why? Because the government had completely privatized the city's water resources. Yes, in Bolivia, even water was privatized. Here's what happened. Back in 1985, Bolivia was going through hyperinflation at an annual rate of 25,000%, and few foreign investors would do business in the country. The Bolivian government turned to the World Bank as a last resort against economic meltdown. The World Bank agreed to provide loans, but with strict conditions, and one of them was Bolivia had to privatize its water resources. In 1997, the World Bank made privatization of Cochabamba's water system a condition for lending Bolivia money to expand the city's water services. An internal World Bank audit in 2002 confirmed that privatization had been a bank condition for extending water loans to Bolivia. But why did the World Bank set such condition? The answer is capitalism and profit maximization. Bolivia did not have many lucrative resources that international corporations could exploit. So, the only thing US businessmen could profit from was its most basic necessity, that is water. In September 1999, the Bolivian government auctioned off the municipal water system 𝐶𝐸MAPA of Cochabamba. When the auction drew only one bidder, the government signed water resources over in a 40-year concession to Auguste Del Tunari. This was a foreign-led consortium dominated by the American construction giant Bechtel Corporation along with the British firm International Waters and Spanish company Abengoa. The Bolivian parliament rushed through a new water law, Law 2029, to ensure the legality of the privatization. This law was so comprehensive that it even gave Bechtel the control over private wells that people had dug themselves and community-built water systems in the neighborhoods. The nightmare begins in January 2000. Just months after it took over control of the water system, the Bechtel subsidiary hit water users with enormous price increases. Water rates went up by an average of more than 50% in some cases, and prices doubled for many residents. For context, Cochabamba had a population of over 5 lakh people, and only half of the city's population was hooked up to the municipal water system at that time. Many poor families who lived in areas without piped water had built their own cooperative water systems over decades. Now, Bechtel was charging them to use water infrastructure they had built and paid for themselves. This is the dark side of capitalism. Poor families were forced to spend nearly 50% of their income just on water, money they desperately needed for food, education, and healthcare. In a country where the minimum wage was less than $100 per month, water bills were suddenly reaching $20 or more. Imagine spending half your salary just to access a basic human necessity. The people fought back. The conditions became so unbearable that people were forced to hit the streets. In January 2000, massive protests erupted across Cochabamba. What started as peaceful demonstrations quickly turned into a full-scale uprising known as the Cochabamba Water War. After months of violent clashes between protesters and police, resulting in deaths and hundreds of injuries, the people finally won. On April 10, 2000, the government reversed the privatization. Water control returned to the public, prices dropped back to affordable levels, and Bechtel was forced to flee the country. The people had reclaimed their most basic right, access to water. This story isn't far from us. Think Bolivia's water crisis is a distant problem? Look closer to home. Delhi faces a similar water mafia crisis. About 20% of Delhi's population has no access to piped water. The gap between supply and demand is over 207 million gallons per day. Residents in areas like Sangam Vihar receive only 45 liters of water per person per day, just 1/3 of the government standard of 135 liters. You've probably seen those blue water tankers in Delhi's neighborhood. This is Delhi's water tanker mafia, a network of truck drivers, politicians, real estate agents, and fixers who extract water from illegal boreholes and the city's leaking pipes, then sell it for their profit. In 2001, Delhi had roughly 2 lakh illegal boreholes. A 2013 audit found the city loses 60% of its water supply to leakages, theft, and failure to collect revenue. The economics are brutal. During peak summer demand, a 4,000-liter water tanker that normally costs ₹500 can sell for ₹5,000. Residents spend an average of ₹1,000 every month on water, and during peak demand, prices surge by 200-300%. Around 200 liters of water from the mafia cost costs more than rupees 500. Money many poor families simply don't have. Yet they have no choice. Due to collusion between private tanker mafia and Delhi Jal Board officials, water from government tankers is not delivered to the needy, allowing the tanker business to profit. The environmental impact is devastating. In 2014, the government reported that nearly 3/4 of Delhi's underground aquifers were overexploited, forcing boreholes to go deeper and deeper, increasing the likelihood of contamination. The tanker mafia has connections to every political party. When power shifts, they switch sides and continue operating through collusion. This isn't just Delhi's problem. Similar water mafias operate in Mumbai, Bangalore, Karachi, and increasingly in cities across the developing world. Tell us in the comments below, what is your opinion on Bolivia's dark story?